Welcome to My Love of Life Energy. I'm Anna Scott, your host. I love beautiful, rich conversations that reveal the truth, beauty, and uniqueness of each person I meet, and I'm honored to share them with you. Good morning and good afternoon, and welcome to my podcast, My Love of Life Energy. I'm beginning a new series, and this is going to be a mystery to me. And this series is about people I really don't know who've reached out to me or have expressed an interest in being on a podcast, and I said yes. So today I'm beginning with Alana Corpuz. Is that correct? Did I get it right? Anna Scott and her great enunciation. And I met Alana at a BNI, Business Networking International Group, and in her 30-second commercial, she said, "Hey, I would really love to be on more podcasts." And I said, "Hey, I happen to have one. I'd be interested in talking to you." So welcome, Alana.
Oh, thank you.
And when I met Alana, I was captivated by her. Alana has a company called Art Garden Design, and you're a garden designer, correct?
Yeah, we do landscape design and construction, so full install.
And what captivated about me was how you're looking at parks and how you're looking at gardens. So let's begin there. Where do you want to begin? Tell me what you want to start with.
Well, I think we can start with a question so when in the 30 seconds that I was speaking about the San Francisco natural play spaces that are, 30, 50 are going on throughout the city at this current time, through different organizations, what was like a question that came up for you? And then I can go from there.
Well, there was a beauty that I saw about the natural. It touched me so deeply about the natural play spaces. And can you explain what a natural play space is?
Yeah, I think the best example is the San Francisco tunnel tops, which is in the Presidio on your way towards the marina and towards the Golden Gate Bridge. So it's a state of the art, international acclaimed uh, architecture and construction project that happened throughout the Presidio. And they basically lowered the highway. The Army of Corps of Engineers, this is kind of a ramble, but the Army Corps of Engineers wanted to rebuild the bridge that went from San Francisco to the Golden Gate Bridge. And architects in San Francisco got together and said, just pro bono, drew some sketches to say, we need to lower this highway so we can see the bay. And so from there, several different architecture and design groups got involved, and it's been like a 12-year project to build the tunnel tops, which is basically a tunnel and then an entire park and infrastructure of planting and seating areas as well as playgrounds on top of the tunnel that goes to the Golden Gate Bridge. And so in the tunnel tops, there's landscaping, there's lounge grass areas, but there's also a natural playground, which is pretty large. I'd say it's about, I don't know, 3 blocks worth of playground space, 3 city blocks worth of playground space, where they have natural play structures. So those are the wood that was cut down from several different tree projects, salvaged wood, refinished and used as building instead of having plastic slides or plastic, microplastics going into little kids. These are, 1 years old to, 15 years old, but babies putting their mouths on the thing. So the whole thing about natural play spaces is it kind of already is implemented in many other countries like Sweden and Switzerland and probably places in New Zealand as well, like even South Africa, where they basically are not putting plastics into the playground. They're using natural materials so kids can have more imaginative play. And this works really wonderful in urban centers where we're just surrounded by concrete and modern materials. So like the access versus a kid growing up in the woods and going to the river every single day, the access to actually have interaction with wood. So this is like a large log that's been finished in certain parts, but maybe it has a part of its bark. And then the kids can play and pull and touch those textures, understand that. And then just amazing built elements using, natural wood, not tons of plastics or metals. So that is what I got involved with about a year ago, an organization called LIF, which stands for Low Income Impact Fund. Um, they have been implementing these projects for the past few years to basically did a call out to all preschool facilitators and established preschools in San Francisco to apply for funding for this grant. And then they were awarded an architect, and the architect did the design, and then a bid went out to local contractors to install these projects. But it wasn't just given on the City of Oakland bid list. It was, you had to go through some training with other woodworkers who are building these natural play spaces and pushing the movement, because it is a movement in the United States. So the training was hosted by Nick from Woodworkers, which is they're based in Colorado. And one of his observations, so he did a lot of projects, using the Presidio wood, huge Monterey cypress trees that were cut down. So we're talking rounds from anywhere from 2 feet wide diameter to 6 foot wide diameter of tree trunks. Yeah, using that material. So he did the training last year, which several of us contractors went. It was a 2-day all weekend training. And so we were, learning his pinning techniques, which pinning is just basically, the way that you hold the different logs and materials together. So there's core drilling and pinning with certain long threaded screws, and then other sort of finishing and sanding practices. So there's like a particular standard. So it's not just like you've been to West Oakland or you've been to someone's house and they cut some trees down, or their neighbor had some logs and they placed the logs together and made a border. It's not that. It's, structural infrastructure that will last a long time and is safe for, infants to 5 years old.
Can I ask you a question? What do you love about these? What have you learned and what have you loved?
A few things. I love the fight against the playground equipment company is like a multi-billion-dollar industry that puts plastics and astroturf and petroleum-based products into preschools all throughout the country. And it's a huge, huge industry. So I love it that these like arborists and woodworkers are like pioneering a movement that is one gives more labor, because a lot of these play structures are in huge factories manufactured and then shipped, from the center of the country to wherever. And using local materials, it's wood actually has value, and because it's very labor intensive, instead of machine driven and trucking across the country, it gives work and jobs to people like local laborers. So I think it's a really healthy system, and they look so much better. There's like,
There's that thing.
yeah, there's the environmental factor. There's like the psychological factor of like how kids interact with play space. And then there's the aesthetic of it. And, you get a bunch of really talented woodworkers or finishers together, and they can create some really beautiful, like artistic pieces.
And when we were speaking in the beginning, you were talking about one of the things that you wanted to share stories is about creativity and the power of creativity. And right now I'm really hearing that in you and the love for human beings creating. Can you speak more to that?
Oh, yeah. Thank you so much for saying that. So I have like several quotes on my wall, and one of them is because my birthday's in February. So I'm an Aquarius. And one of the quotes is basically the definition of an Aquarius, which is innovative ideas, and humanitarian gestures.
Oh, God, I love that.
So
Beautiful.
I think that's literally what you said, just maybe a couple
Oh,
different words.
oh my God, I want to cry. Innovative. Say it
Uh,
again for me. Innovative.
it's so
I didn't get that. Could you try again?
My
the
your
de-
Siri, come on. Innovative.
the definition of Aquarius is innovative ideas and humanitarian gestures.
Oh my God, I have chills
Oh.
going up and down. I mean, it's really, so speak more to me about why that matters to you, like what touches in you, in your soul.
I mean, I think that's kind of like what I want to promote to everyone of every age, like from a newborn to a, grade school kid to a teenager, high school, young adult, old elder who's, retiring, um, is like kind of like innovative ideas is art, is inspiration, is like source. So that source comes from being inspired and then the inspiration in your exterior world coming through you and out through you, or being inspired just in your own self and then expressing that and giving it to the world. So I think art is a gift, because you are creating, you're putting yourself out there. And I mean, that's like the old San Francisco. It was a bunch of hippies, just doing art and music all day, all the time. And as you have a text influx, they're like, wow, this is super cool. I want to buy that, or I want to watch it, or I want to own it. And it takes away. So I always view artists, and it's funny, I don't even really consider myself an artist. I'm more like I don't know, builder or something. But I just, the word artist, like, anyways, I consider an artist anyone who like gives a gift.
Oh God. I mean, I'm going to have a different opinion about how I see you as I see you as a true artist.
And so there's the innovative ideas, like, creation coming, but not like I have a job and I'm going to create something. It's like coming from your own inspiration, however you receive it. And then humanitarian gestures is just like, I think it's that same thing, like give more than you can take. Like if you see someone suffering, stop and, you know, do whatever minimum thing you can do. Um, it's like that famous. So I love this story and I always like bring it up in perfect moments, which is the famous saying, you're only as strong as your weakest link. So in a healthy biological forest, there are trees of all different species and sizes. And sometimes there's insects and bacteria and fungi that come and start attacking the tree. And that tree that's sick and weak and not doing well sends messages through its roots into the mycelium, which is the interconnected web that holds like our earth together. So it's mycelium is like mushrooms, but the roots of the mushrooms that connect in the entire soil infrastructure. So the sick tree is like, oh my God, I am being infested by this particular beetle. And it sends its messages. So all the trees receive that message. And this is true. This is not hokey pokey. This is actual biological physics. So the large trees or the healthy trees receive that message. So they send the nutrients, like whether it's, whatever nutrients they're receiving um, into their branches, leaves, trunks, they send that nutrients through the mycelium to the weak tree. So you're getting all these trees because the trees that are healthy know, they're like, I have extra resources, I'll just send it over. The trees know that like if there's this sick tree, that illness can spread and it can infect the trees all around it. And then you don't have just one sick tree, you have like a, virus. And so the famous saying of like, you're only as strong as your weakest link, it's like, yeah, you can keep being like that tree. If we're taking this analogy, it's like the tree can be strong and be like, too bad, you know. And that's what happens in like capitalist societies. Like you're just like, I'm good. You like it takes advantage of the weakest. So I think the humanitarian gestures is just give more than you can take. And if you see someone suffering in your capacity, you know, if you're having a bad day, then maybe you don't do it. But in your capacity, you just help out those who have less.
I'm so curious. I'm so touched by what you're sharing.
Oh.
I feel the love that you have for life and the beauty of life and the reverence for life as you're speaking.
Thank you.
And I'm curious, as a woman in this industry, because you also spoke about that being a woman in construction. What's it like? Because this is a very soft, feminine, generous, like I really hear you listening to life, the
Mhm.
beauty of life.
Mhm.
And you're very receptive. How does it show up in your work?
Well, I want to start with like why I got into it to begin with is, you know, I lived on a farm and then I started getting involved in urban farming, building city gardens, and then getting maintenance jobs, tree jobs, like all, you know, that stuff. And when I was doing maintenance, this is like in my early 20s, when I was doing maintenance, I was like, I hate the way, why did someone plant this gigantic bush in this small space and it has to get cut every single day? Or just my ideas maybe were not as well received to the client either because I was just a maintenance worker. So I was like, I want to be respected. So I'm going to do what I need to do to be the one building the infrastructure, the foundation, the walls, the hardscape, the overall vision and permanent structure so that I can plant the plants that I want and they're not going to get trampled or be mistreated. So I kind of went like a very roundabout way to get back to like where I started.
This is going to be such a far right question, but I'm so dying to know. Can you talk to plants or do you hear plants? I mean, what they say?
Um, I do not talk to plants. I do not like have a conversation like you and I are having. Um, I'd say in my days right now, I am not interacting that much with plants except for like when I'm in my like backyard garden because I spend a lot of my time like, you know, doing proposals and meetings and things like that. But when I do have a moment, whether it's like 5 minutes to pull some weeds in my backyard or a minute to like sip some coffee in the morning and stand out front, I do have that moment. And I think it's more less of a conversation with plants and more of like just a really observation and admiration and like I see you and I'm looking at all the different like I remember talking to this artist a long time ago and I was like, "Oh, this is this plant," and saying all these botanical names. And he was like, and I'm like, "That plant has a lime green leaf. That plant has a dark green leaf." And he's like, "Wait a second. There's like 20 shades of green in that leaf." And it was the first time where I was like, and he like pointed them out. And maybe there wasn't 20, but he pointed them out. And I was like, oh my God, I've been like, you know, working with this plant, buying this plant, planting it, pruning it. And I never even thought that. So I think that's the conversation that we can have with plants, which is just like actually looking at it, admiring it, watching maybe like the bee that comes in or the butterfly or the little ant crawling on it, like looking at, oh, wow, there's actually like a little bud forming on that stem. Or um, if it has a scent, you know, really bringing that scent in, not just like, oh, there's a rose, smell it, walk by. Like, oh, this is a geranium and let me put my face in it for like 5 seconds and like really think about the scent that it's giving, or stand or break a leaf off and smell it, rub it, crush it in my hands. There's another plant called sticky monkey flower. It's mimulus, and it's a California native. It's like orange. It grows along all the bluffs, like if you drive to Santa Cruz or if you drive up north, called sticky monkey flower. And it has bright orange, little tiny flowers. And if you touch it, it's sticky. It has a resin. So I think that's very similar to like the whole conversation we started with about the natural play spaces, like becoming imaginative by just actually really observing. And when you have things that are complicated, like a bark or a sticky plant, it's like, oh, why is that sticky? It invigorates inquisitivity or curiosity. So versus just a plastic smooth slide where you're just like sliding down, okay, get back on it again. You're not going to be like, ooh, let me feel all this, because it's all the same.
There's what I'm hearing this is what I hear you're doing, is how you receive life. Like, it seems to me that you're really receiving all of life and interacting with it in such a beautiful way, and inviting people to receive, like receive their life and interact with it. Mm-hmm. Even in their own garden. Like, I don't know if that's your intention design. It's like, become curious with what's there and receive it.
I think each garden has its own intention, depending on what the needs of the owner or user is. So, for someone, who's maybe elderly, it is just like a visual thing, but you put it in the place, say they can't really walk, you put it in the place where they're, the kitchen sink, and they can see this beautiful garden, and they can see people walk by in front of it, but maybe they can't physically go into it, but they can visually experience it and see, like, a hummingbird coming by or whatever. So that's like one intention, versus like the natural play spaces. The kids, they are active and playful, but it has to be also safe. So you create something that's like works for, the caretakers. So it's for safety, it works for the kids. It creates multiple play spaces. Depending on the facility, maybe there's 100 kids or maybe there's 20 kids. So you get to, that helps shape and form, the intent of the design. And something that I was thinking about before this call, because before the call, I was like, send me the questions you're going to ask me.
I know. Let me know. Isn't it a bitch? I don't do that.
So I was like, okay, well, I'll just create my own questions. So one of the things I thought about was, throughout choosing to, there's firms that are like construction, like they just install. There's an architect who designs and then they install. And there's other companies that just design or are only architects. And there's design build, but design build is a very kind of vague word, and it's sometimes confusing because you can do a lot of different things and say you do design build. So one of the things, it goes back to your question of like being a woman in the construction industry. It's very kind of like harsh go. Is like looking at design and build as like yin and yang. So yin is the design process where it is, imaginative, curiosity. You can collect information, you can ponder, you can think. It can be sped up quickly or it can be slow, and it's a dance of ideas. What was that? Innovative ideas. It's a dance of ideas. And there's no, like, it doesn't have to be finalized until it's time to be finalized. Whereas construction is like, you want to have a solid plan. You want to, and then you just want to go. You want to go. You want to bring, demo, cleanup, everything in the truck, everything in the dumpster, out, go. Next thing, materials deliver, go, start building, framing, forming. You want, like with construction, with Yang, you want like active flow. It is like go time because one, you have a lot of labor. And in California, labor is very, very expensive and all the bells and whistles that come with it. So you want to be maximizing when you have a large amount of people. You don't want to have a large amount of people and be like, let's sit around and think about what we want to have. You want to have a solid plan and you want to go. So that's kind of like energetically, like if you look at landscape design and construction, which is what art garden design does, it has those two parts. And to have a beautiful space, you need those two processes because you need to be able to dream and be like, what about this possibility? Because that can lead you to the next thing. But you don't want to be doing that when there's like 5 people standing around to hammer something.
So you've perfectly gave an example of what I believe to be true of where we're going with humanity. And that is the full integration of the feminine and masculine inside ourselves, the yin and yang.
Oh.
And I can feel the beauty because all parts are respected. The masculine's respected and the feminine. One's not better than the other.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel the dance of what your business must do is respecting all parts of life. And that's what I'm hearing in all, like a theme I hear in you is that you respect all parts of life and where they are in life, from this child playing to the, sorry, it's really emotional, as I'm going to be the person in the garden looking at the garden, but you're respecting all parts of life and where they are and honoring that part of life in your designs from the feminine and the masculine.
Mm-hmm.
And that's rare. That's a true gift of life because we are both of it, but the feminine's been denied over the masculine. And you're like, no, it's all here.
Yeah. And I think the way I got there was just like throwing myself into uncomfortable situations all the time, just saying yes to everything and just being like, I'll figure it out along the way. And that's how you learn and grow. And then eventually you're like, I can't do this. I'm gonna plan and get resources. But with construction, it's like there always is a solution. It just might take longer, it might cost more, but there is always a solution. And it's a good value and thought process because maybe there is a big problem, but there's always a solution.
Okay, we're coming to the end, which I can't believe.
Oh,
and what I want to ask you is, there's one more question I want to ask you is, what's the one thing you want people, your clients, to know about you? Like, what's the one thing?
My current clients or my
future?
Okay, future.
Whoever.
I think this is kind of funny, but like I know my shit, like I know what it takes to have create a beautiful garden, and like I have the different resources to make that happen. And I love the design build process because it's like a seamless process where like even in the conceptual design phase, you can start talking about cost and that will help determine like, okay, like we're going to go in this direction, or you don't talk about costs and that it's just like whatever you want to create. So the last piece is, like we do residential and then also like public spaces. So we're collaborating with a couple other environmental engineers to work with a community center to, create a whole outdoor infrastructure. And that takes like a lot of different, professionals with different perspectives and thought points to get to the solution.
Well, my wish is that the way you think and you hold life, that you get those projects.
Oh, yeah, me too.
Because I think the earth will be happier.
Yeah. And there's a lot of people doing the work too. So
but I'm not talking to them right now. I'm talking to you. So I get to say that to you.
Yeah. Well, I
And
think
there's more than enough for everybody. So Alana, where do people find you? It'll be all in the blog, but where do people reach out to you if they want to know more about you? And I'm going to have your website up, but is there anything else?
yeah, so the best place is the website. We're redoing it right now, so maybe have something new out in a couple of months, but it is artgardendesign.net. And then the best way to get in touch is artgardendesign.net slash, or is it backslash contact. And then you can put your name, email, phone number in, and little comment, and then I'll get it. We'll get it immediately.
Great. We'll put this in. And I can't thank you enough. I
So
I
fun.
have loved our conversation.
Yeah.
Thank you.
No, I wanna continue.
Yeah, I know they're kind of fun, right? All right. Thank you.
And thanks for pulling out those elements.
My pledge, it's my honor. I was so touched by it. Really. Thank you.